Welcome back to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Jason Bale and Hard Money Bankers co-host Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse with the deal that changed my life. This has been a very popular segment where we invite all of our guests back onto the show and talk about a deal that changed their life. You know, it's we've had some really interesting stories along the way, and Ian and I realized that we never did a segment like this on either one of us. So today's Ian's turn, and Ian's going to talk about a deal that has changed his life. I'm looking forward to hearing it. Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the deal that changed our lives. I know I've talked about White House Manor before in the past, and it'd be easy to go down that path. And I know I've done some case studies that you can find on our YouTube channel about it. But I think what I want to talk about just sparked off a conversation that we had just a few weeks ago. Is the deal that changed my life, I would say, really is kind of like it's kind of a two-pronged approach. One was selling a 44-unit apartment building that we had and really bringing our attention to the ability of recapitalizing money and then deploying it into better assets. And then that better asset ultimately is 95 James Way, which we're currently working on. And why did that deal change my life or our lives? Is because it made us realize, and, I don't want to say struggle, but we've really put in a lot of hard work. That's how I got a ton of gray hair in my beard and I got no hair on the top of my head. For those that are watching, is we've always taken the hard road. We've always grinded it out. We've always looked for deals that nobody else wanted to touch. It needed a ton of construction. It had a ton of headaches around it. And when we bought this one on James Way outside of Philadelphia here, we had a business plan. Just to give you a description, it's 55,000 square feet. It's a commercial asset. It used to be a call center for Countrywide Mortgage. The owners owned it for a period of time. It's been vacant basically since 2008. He's kind of dilly-dallied with some tenants here and there, just took a very hard-nosed approach to putting any capital improvements into it, trying to attract any new leases. And when we found this property, we're like, man, this is like a really nice property in a really good area that seems to be at an attractive price. And I didn't realize that it was going to change our lives until the end, because what happened was, as I was underwriting the deal, I was like, okay, this deal makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of exit strategies because it's set up as 11 condo units with inside this 55,000 square feet. So initially we wanted to go in there, renovate it, do what we normally do, and go out and turn this into flex space and then just lease it out and turn around and sell it to the next guy. But quickly did we find out, as we were starting to work on this project, that there would be a lot of demand from other users. And I think part of that is the quality of the area that we've decided to invest in. So that's like one headache that we've always dealt with before. I haven't had any calls for break-ins. I haven't had any calls from tenants that are complaining about paying their rent. It was really easy to get debt for it. It was really easy to get capital investors for it because it was in such a good area. So that was like check number one. Check number two was we were doing the capital raise, and it was super easy to raise money for. Why? We had multiple exit strategies. We were in areas that people understood, that resonated with them. It was similar to what they live in, right? Like they're close to a city. They understand this suburban market. So that was like check number two. Check number three, which I think was really fun, was we went in, we saw our team execute at a really high level. I found the deal. I put it together. I showed my business partner. Dan was like, yes, it passes the sniff test. I showed it to our lender. It passed the sniff test. We got debt for it. Super easy. I went to the capital investors. It was super easy to raise capital for. But then what happened at the end was the best. We closed on the deal. I turned the property over to Ryan and I said, okay, here's the business plan. Go out and execute on it. He's basically our operations manager. He runs our whole company. And he said, okay, that's it. Time out. Pause. I said, well, what do you mean pause? He's like, we're not doing any work. Every other time we've always gone in, been bulldogs, spent a ton of money to find out that that's not actually what the property needs. So let's see what the brokers can do. So I turned it over to Ryan. He's in charge. I turned it over to a property manager to manage the several tenants that are in there. And then finally, I turned it over to our leasing broker / sales broker. And they've gone to work and they've been turning up leads left and right. Some of it's the market. Some of it is them working very, very hard, which I appreciate. However, just recently we went into contract for 11,000 square feet for a dermatologist who wasn't even the case use that we were expecting to sell to. So we're going into contract to sell 2 units there. We've also had a veterinary hospital potentially put in we put an RFP out to them. Again, we wanted to do flex space. We were expecting to deal with contractors wanting to lease it. They're looking to lease 15,000 square feet from us. With those two that sale and that lease, like the project's done. And I think a lot of this comes back to the takeaways that I have is investing in the right area with the right demand, with the right tenants, with the right demographics that surround it. Number two it was a deal that I got to do what I love best. I underwrote the property, I raised the capital, and then I turned it over to our operations manager. Dan handled the accounting, Ryan's handling the operations. We have a property manager in place, and we have a leasing broker in place. We haven't really touched the property since then. We've just kind of been sitting back and waiting and taking a very calculated approach to executing on selling or leasing this asset. And I think it's just a culmination of all the deals we've done that is all boiled into this one deal that's like, wow, we have a business plan that we can go out and execute on over and over and over again. As this one, we see it through. So now every building that we look at, I'm like, well, can we condo it? Is it a single tenant? How can we multi-use this? How can we lease it? How can we sell it? And really just being open to it. So I think this all started with the 44 units that we sold that freed up the cash that allowed us to do this deal that is allowing us to continue to grow and go. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was thinking about this, and I'm not going to share mine. We'll do a different episode for me on a deal that changed my life. But I think there's different seasons inside your business. So the deal that changed your life can differ, right? Because you talked about White House as we started. You're not going to go down that road. But like that one did change your life, right? Because you, in essence, bought a property, very little money down, 90% owner financing, sold it, took out 7 figures, catapulted you to your next asset class. That was a season. And I think this is another season, right? Your first season was, buying a shit ton of rental properties, in the city, and, learning that and understanding it and getting the guts and the huevos to go all in with that, right? So you can have different deals that change your life. And I think this season is a good eye opener for you and your team of, listen, these assets, we like these assets, because guess what? We didn't even buy this thing at a bargain basement price like we did with so many other assets. We bought this at a fair price, right? We bought this at a fair price. And because it was a good asset class, it was in our backyard. It was easy to raise capital for. Vendors want to work with us. Employees like to be involved in this project. Very qualified tenants, potential buyers want to be involved in this project. A lot goes along. So I think that's a good eye opener, Ian. Thank you for sharing the deal that changed your life today.
Yeah. Well, I got to do it every once in a while. I appreciate it. It just reminds you, why we do this show, being able to give back. We've had success. We've had a lot of success. We share our ups and downs every single time we come on here. So if you guys get any value out of this, please feel free to share the show. It's the best compliment you can give us. We don't care about the likes and subscribes, but if you can share it, someone might hear this and be like, you know what? This idiot can do it. Why can't I? And with all that being said, it is true. But seriously though, sharing our experiences, I think helps. And it also helps you as you talk through it. And so I noticed, I'm like, all right, I'm going through step by step of why this works or why it doesn't work. And it helps just build your business in a better fashion. So with all that being said, guys, if you enjoyed it, feel free to share the show and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.